Okay, so I'm Jane. I'm the CEO of Culture24. So we work with museums and gallery. We're not a museum or a gallery or heritage site. We're not a commercial production company. We actually are a charity. So we kind of occupy this weird space of being sort of in the commercial, not in the commercial world and not really in the cultural world, but sort of trying to deal with audiences, and it's a very difficult space to sort of be in. We've been around for about 12 years. I'm going to be talking to you about a project that we've done through Europeana called Van Gogh Yourself, but I wanted to start by just kind of unpicking. I love the fact we're in a kind of dissection place, but sort of unpicking some of the issues that are in the work that we've looked at. So one of the projects that we've done is called Let's Get Real, and our ambition with this project is basically to sort of transform the sector from the inside, one organisation at a time, which is an incredibly ambitious thing to try and do. But literally, we've been working now with about 80 organisations over the last 4 years, 3 conferences, 3 reports. These are the reports. If you Google Let's Get Real Culture24, you can download these. These are all looking at shared problems that cultural heritage organisations have in engaging with audiences, in digital transformation, in trying to understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, who it's for. Each of these projects is an intensive sort of 10-month period where we work with people. But through this work that we've been doing, trying to get all of this digital stuff that these organisations have, and often those digital assets and the digital teams are in separate parts of the organisations. They're not really embedded in what the organisations are doing. We're trying to get them to sort of understand the changes that are happening with user behaviour, what's actually happening online, and what are the opportunities that exist for them. And this is one of the biggest questions that we work with organisations to try and discuss and understand, which is your content fit for purpose? Now that idea of fit for purpose is quite a complex idea. Obviously it implies things like, technical fit. Are your websites responsive? Does your content work in different platforms, on different screen sizes? There's all of that kind of fit for purpose idea. But there's a whole nother layer around editorial. Is it fit for purpose in the sense of, is it written in the right language for the audience it's intended to? And I don't mean a European language, I mean the tone of voice. Is it full of museum speak, or is it talking in a normal way to people in a way that they understand? So there's sort of technical levels, there's editorial levels, and there's also complicated things that you guys will be grappling with over the next few days around licensing. Is it fit for purpose for reuse? Is it actually available? Is it available in a reasonably resolution size file? Is it well structured? Is it open licenses? Can I get at it? Can I reuse it? Can I offer it to other people to reuse? So this question's been at the heart of a lot of the work that we've been doing. And it's very much been one of the problems that we've had in Van Gogh Yourself. Now, this is a piece of work that came out of one of our bits of research for Europeana, trying to understand and map different kinds of what are principally cultural sector sort of tourists, visitors, and it's trying to think about people in terms of their behaviours and their motivations rather than demographics. So it's thinking about, this is a sort of way to help people try and understand, cultural organisations understand what's going on. So it talks about motivations and purpose. What are you here for? Are you sightseeing? Are you a professional, a cultural professional? Maybe you're here with your family. What are your information needs? What time are you doing this? Is it before a visit? Is it during a visit? Is it after it? And what are your information behaviours in terms of how digitally active you are? And when we're talking to people about how they develop and design products, we're getting people to try and think about how they place themselves to meet one of these ambitions in a particular way. Now, Van Gogh Yourself decided that it was going to sit squarely in this emotional thing. We felt that the sort of functional needs of cultural heritage tourism were really well served. If you wanted to find out where things were, what time they were open, TripAdvisor's pretty good. Most organisations' websites, if you dig a lot hard enough, that information's there. But we were really interested in this idea of, could you get people to connect emotionally to something online? To collections, and we decided that we were going to go with people who are very digitally active. We weren't really interested in the idea whether it's before, during or after. We were just interested in this emotional connection, something very social and something very digital. And this idea of a personal connection, this sort of stuff happens all the time in physical spaces. You walk into a gallery, people take pictures, You feel a connection to something, and that idea of the personal and the emotional in the physical space is well understood, but in the digital space it gets a bit more complicated, I think, for cultural heritage organisations and how they present their content. So while we were thinking with this idea of all this fit for purpose stuff and all this emotional stuff, we were part of a Europeana Creative project, and we were interested in trying to prove a concept. The concept being, what would happen if you could get access to loads of great high-resolution open license images from all of the cultural organisations all over Europe? How great would that be, and how cool would that be? And you could develop loads of good stuff. So we decided that we were going to try and build something that was based on open license, high-quality, high-res images that was trying to have get people to have an emotional connection. So that's the sort of background to the project. We had this as our question: are you tired of just looking at paintings? There's a painting. And here is a recreate your painting with your friends. So this is the very first one we did in the restaurant, very much after a day like this, where everybody went. Fortunately, we had a table that was big enough that lent itself to the Last Supper, and even the reluctant people took part in this, and by the end of it were kind of having a laugh and thought it was a good thing. This is me in there doing this. So we came up with this idea of recreating paintings with friends. We built this thing. It's not an app. It's actually built in WordPress. It's really, really, really simple. It was designed to be mobile first. It looks like an app, but it isn't an app. It's very, very simple. You go to it. Maybe actually while you guys are here, you might want to do some recreations. Maybe when I've shown you all the slides, you might not want to do some, or maybe you will want to do some. But this is basically, you get these very simple 3 steps. Pick a painting, recreate it, and exhibit and share it with people. So it's a very simple call to action. It looks much more beautiful on the desktop, but we designed it as a kind of to try and lead people into it. There's 88 paintings at the moment. This is the page of paintings. You go in and choose from that. These are some of the organisations that have got stuff in there. You're never going to absorb all that, but this is the top line stats. It's 32 venues in 13 different countries, most of which are European. We just got one from New Zealand, which is pretty cool. And we have to have paintings with open licenses. Because obviously by the time people have twinned them and shared them in social media and they've gone off and been changed and altered, it just becomes impossible. It's very hard to find those. That's what the SAI is about. So it's been live since almost a year, actually. Yeah, I think it went live literally like next weekend. We had the PR dream of getting on literally the homepage of the BBC, principally because of these guys, who are the breakfast TV presenters in the UK. They picked it up. They recreated this painting. Well, I got them to recreate this painting, and I got to go on breakfast telly and get interviewed, and or everyone in my family rang me up and said, "Oh, I saw you on the telly." But this was the most, this is your absolute dream in terms of attention share. This is very hard to get in any project, but literally members of the public who'd never done anything were kind of vanguarding themselves and putting up pictures and sending stuff in. And it's by far the biggest spike of the project, and we've been trying to keep some of that going. So lots and lots of recreations of the same paintings, and pretty much what they fall into kind of 2 main categories. Okay, so people either do recreations, very faithful, very studious, very often very beautiful. So things like this, a lot of trouble, a lot of care. Someone's really thought about it. Things like this, which are, if you can read the text, it says, "I'm very tired and very bored. I don't know how this happened." It's quite funny. This one's great. 2 artists in bow ties creating their own masterpieces. So, very kind of faithful recreations, very nicely done. This is a lovely one, a group of kids. Looks like in some kind of schoolroom, I'd say. Or people tend to do reinterpretations, which are kind of my favourite. So they do this kind of thing. Obviously with the iPad instead of the book. Or they do this kind of thing. Or this kind of thing, which is great. This is very meta. It's like, he's in there. And this was actually done, obviously, in front of the picture, which is very funny. All these kinds of things, which are my absolute favourites. The young boy on the left, that's Death by Technology. That's how that's titled. So it's either reinterpretations or recreations. There are lots of portraits in it, and we get quite a lot of people doing sort of selfies and individual portraits. So lots of kind of nice stuff of one people. That's actually a selfie. And this one I think is a computer webcam, which is great. This is one of the most popular images to do. I think that people think it's about Van Gogh. This one's great. And they've got really nice. Van Gogh has been an inspiration of mine for a long time. This piece of art that I chose reminds me of my granddad, who was an artist too. So for me, these kinds of things are evidence that the ambition of the project to connect emotionally is kind of happening. This one's lovely. Just trying to duplicate the raw emotion of Vincent Wilhelm van Gogh. I was a bit of an art historian. I wonder if it ever crossed his mind that strangers in the future would be paying homage to such a beautiful painting. I doubt it. So loads and loads and loads of these. It's been really popular. And then we also have this kind of random stuff that goes into an unmoderated Tumblr. I really don't know quite what to do with this. When we've done the user testing, people are like, I don't get it, it's crap. And I'm like, yeah, it's really funny, isn't it? And it is really crap. And this is what you get on the Tumblr. This is all of them. So you get the great recreations, the reinterpretation mixed in with all the other random pictures that people choose to twin, like that. You know, just like whatever picture I've got on my camera, or this, here, happy birthday to me in the office. Or this one, which actually we did publish. So we curate these, and then we publish this one principally because of the bit of text. I don't know if you can read all that. It's very poetic, and I just thought, well, obviously it works for me as a reinterpretation. So we published that one. The biggest success really around the project is that museum people love it. That wasn't what we set out to do. We were trying to engage the public. Museum people absolutely totally love it. We've won Museum and Heritage Awards. We won 2 in America. We got shortlisted. This is a Europeana Creative Work Package meeting. Lizzie is in there somewhere. There she is. I think she's Wellington. This is the moment when Napoleon walked out after the Battle of Waterloo. He's a bit upset. Don't know why. This is again, these are all policy events. These are Europeana tourism ministers at a policy event. And this is a pop-up we did. This is the Wikipedia guy and Europeana. It's like Wikipedia giving life to Europeana. It's a joke. So the museum community love it. But what I'm trying to do now, and I think I'm running out of time, got a few minutes. I've got a few minutes. What we're trying to do is really try and build an actual community around the project. We've had 988 submissions and 344 have gone into the gallery. You can see all of it, as I said, on the Tumblr. So that's kind of not too bad, but that's a pretty small number, really. I mean, we're realists. I'm sharing this with you because it's very hard to get momentum behind this. But so we're starting monthly newsletters. We're doing competitions and giveaways. And we're finding that one of the things that's really starting to kind of get a bit of traction is real-world experiences. So we're trying to encourage museums, well, it's not actually that difficult because lots of them want to. We're supporting lots of museums and heritage organisations to run these things as kind of events, participatory events. So this is a kind of after-work thing in Luxembourg, very kind of young adult audience stopping in after work, having a laugh, mucking about. This is done as a family workshop at a small museum in Chippingham Museum in London. So they don't have any paintings in Van Gogh yourself. They just used it as a thing to engage some kids. But what they did is they got people to make their own costumes, which is a really nice twist. And actually, I hadn't thought of that. So now we've built this into a sort of resource that we're sharing back with cultural organisations. But this is quite a nice sort of participatory thing. We're kind of exploring how we might have a more secure space so that we've had lots and lots of teachers do it, but then you get like 30 pictures that all look the same, of the same kids doing the same picture, and I can't deal with that on the website because it just floods it and spoils it. So we're kind of trying to think how can we have a secure space for teachers and kids to work separately, use the thing, but like access their own pictures and not necessarily publish them to the rest of the world, which I think a lot of schools are concerned about. We've built a widget that allows you to embed Van Gogh yourself on a website. So this is the little page on our site where you can embed it, you can change the size, you can choose, it's all based on tags, so the tags are things like the institution, or they're things like the period of art, like Renaissance painting, or they're things like pets, or gory, or sort of whatever tags we've put onto the picture. So that's the gory tag is actually particularly good. And here's one of the museums who've embedded their own tag, the hashtag, that's the name of the institution. They're in Luxembourg. They've embedded it on their site to kind of say, hey, look what people are doing with our collections, do this cool thing. And then the last thing that we're doing, which is starting next month, is we're doing some social capital crowdfunding. So we're working with an organisation called Goteo in Spain, who are, it's a platform that has been part of Europeana Creative, and it's, rather than like Kickstarter, which is sort of product-based, it's crowdfunding that's based on sort of social value. So we've already got a site, we're not making stuff. I mean, we're going to do, this is this is about them, they've been very successful actually. We're doing some merch as part of the rewards, but the site isn't really about that. It's not about a product. It's about, do you care about art? Do you want people to engage with art? Do you want to see more people doing this? Do you value art? And so the campaign is very much pushing on that, again, that idea that people connect emotionally with the stuff, and they might want to give 5-10 euros to help us put more paintings in. So one of the key things that we're sort of selling in the crowdfunding is adding more paintings. So help us to add one. So if you give us, I think it's like 25 euros, you give us 25 euros, we'll add a painting and we'll tell you the painting that you've added and we'll thank you on it. So that's kind of our way of trying to sort of tie up that personal connection. And obviously you can, this is the idea eventually, is that you can then just click, own me, and then print your recreation on a t-shirt. But once the crowdfunding's over, we're going to send that live. So you can buy that t-shirt with me on, which you're all going to do, I know. Anyway, okay, so that's all from me. Hopefully you'll have a chance to have a look, maybe do some drunken Van Goghing yourself while you're here. Anyway, there you go. Thank you. Okay.
There is room for one or two questions, if people have questions.
No.
No, but I would like to, something
okay.
that struck me is that in a lot of conversations with museums, it's always about getting visitors in, whereas you focus here on the relationship to painting and to art,
yep.
rather than on the museum side of things. Is that regular, or is that a difficult thing to negotiate?
I think it's irrelevant, personally. I think that anything you do that is engaging people, people's habits and behaviours aren't physical and digital. They're not divided. They're all integrated. So if you saw something like this, it might make you think about art or museums, and you might not go to any of those particular places. You might go to the one that's near you because you thought, oh, actually, maybe that might be good. I don't know. I don't think there's a difference.